Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The European Union will discuss further economic sanctions on Belarus, including on airlines, to increase pressure on President Alexander Lukashenko, whom it accuses of helping undocumented migrants to enter Poland and the Baltic states. A tightening of sanctions would follow broad measures imposed on Belarus's economy in June over Lukashenko's crackdown on protesters following his disputed re-election in August 2020. The protesters say the election was rigged. Many European Union states now also accuse Lukashenko of encouraging illegal migrants, many from Iraq, Iran and Africa, to enter the European Union via Belarusian territory in a retaliatory hybrid war they say aims to destabilize the bloc. In Europe, we are confronted with the fact that Lukashenko abuses refugees as tools to put pressure on European states. Lukashenko is nothing but the head of a state smuggling ring. We are no longer ready to tolerate that there are companies such as airlines that make money with this scheme by transporting the refugees to Germany or other countries. We will have to talk about consequences for these airlines. We need sanctions that make clear that we are not prepared to tolerate these kinds of actions any longer.
I also believe that we need to sanction Belarus fully, that cannot, let's say, receive any kind of support. So that means more sanctions.
Although Belarus has already been banned from flying over EU airspace, it still leases aeroplanes from EU countries, notably Ireland. Ireland appeared wary of immediately preventing Belarus from leasing planes because of legal obligations in existing contracts. Since August, Poland, Lithuania and Latvia have reported a surge in illegal border crossings from Belarus. They accuse Minsk of flying in migrants from abroad and dispatching them into the European Union. Lukashenko denies the accusation and has blamed the West for what he says is a looming humanitarian catastrophe this winter after migrants were left stranded and freezing on the Belarusian-Polish border. Last Sunday, Polish border guards stopped 542 attempts to cross the border illegally and detained 4 Iraqi citizens. This month alone, as many as 9,600 people have tried unlawfully to cross the border from Belarus to Poland and the European Union. At the same time, within the country, the opposition refers to immigrants as refugees and encourages them to cross the Polish border and break the law. Over 30 feminist groups gathered for a small march in Warsaw under the slogan, "Stop Torture at the Border." Dozens of people walked the approximately 1 kilometre-long walk from Warsaw's Charles de Gaulle roundabout to the Parliament building, chanting, "Solidarity is our weapon." The gullible are many, and this does not relate to access to information or education. I have the impression that this naivety is on the increase, as we can see, for example, from the example of vaccination. Gullibility is also evident in what we see at the border. Feminist activists criticise the state of emergency on the Polish-Belarusian border and accuse the government of mistreating migrants and condemning them to certain death in the Polish frost. A few weeks ago, the famous film director Agnieszka Holland compared the Polish border guards to guards of the Berlin Wall in the former German Democratic Republic. These circles fit into Lukashenko's narrative, which follows Moscow's script. They lack thinking about the role of state and security. We are obliged by international law and the Polish constitution to respect human rights. Liberal Member of Parliament Joanna Ochojska wrote a letter to participants and stated that anyone wishing to apply for international protection should be admitted to the help centre and have his or her application processed. First of all, it would be necessary to identify the refugees at the border. Most of them are not asking for refugee status at all, but just want to get on. The organisers of these demonstrations seem to have become very detached from the ground. I have seen footage of border guards providing assistance to people in need. Poles are not the barbarians, as some want to portray us.
Polacy nie są barbarzyńcami, jak niektórzy chcą to przedstawić.
JAKUB, spokesman for the Immigration Office, explained the rules and procedures for granting refugee status. Foreigners who have submitted applications may benefit from social assistance provided by the Immigration Office during the procedure. They may stay at an assistance centre for foreigners where they will be provided with accommodation, food, medical care and an opportunity to learn Polish or live outside the centres if they wish to take advantage of such an opportunity. Since the beginning of this month, 9,600 attempts illegally to cross the Polish-Belarusian border have been recorded. Every day, border guards stop persons trying to transport illegal immigrants. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki will face the European Parliament on Tuesday morning. The debate, entitled "The Crisis of the Rule of Law in Poland and the Supremacy of European Union Law," might well be heated, and this is only the beginning of attempts to defuse the conflict with European Union institutions while sticking to the European Union treaties. At the same time, Zbigniew Ziobro, Minister of Justice and Chairman of coalition party Solidarna Polska, is demanding a tougher approach be taken towards European Eurocrats. Zbigniew Ziobro strongly criticised the European Union Court's action against Poland. Poland has for a long time had the finger pointed at it and been stigmatised for the fact that there is an alleged abolition of the rule of law in our country. As he stated, Poland has introduced mechanisms of democracy for which it is now being punished and falsely accused of politicising the courts. He announced that he would ask the government to ask the European Court of Justice to investigate the German model for selecting judges. If the Court of Justice of the European Union in Luxembourg concludes that the participation of politicians in the procedure for the election of judicial authorities in Poland raises doubts about the independence of such future judges, then let us ask what impact this participation has on the independence of future judges in Germany. Observers point to the decision of the European Court of Justice that blocked European Union funds for the Polish National Recovery Plan and the double standards applied to the case of Poland and Germany. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword. He ordered an immediate suspension, imposed a fine on Poland. We will see if he would decide to put similar safeguards on Germany, because this would be required by the equality of European Union countries, which is explicitly mentioned in the treaties. According to unofficial media reports, the National Reconstruction Plan will remain suspended and Poland will not receive the funds due to its failure to comply with the ECJ ruling. We will manage just fine without this money from the Reconstruction Fund. Most of it is credit anyway, which has to be repaid later. We can get it from another source, so the negotiating positions are not bad. Now it is the time for tough negotiations in the interests of Poland. There is some opposition from entrepreneurs in Germany who have realised that they will also lose out from the fact that Poland will be barred from these funds. Law professor Waldemar Gontarski has no doubt that it is unlawful for the European Commission to withhold its decision on the National Reconstruction Plan. The Commission, since the 1st of August, has no right to act in this way. Until the 1st of August, it could wonder what it will do with us, what it will do with our National Reconstruction Plan. On the 1st of August, it should give either a positive decision and pay the money, or a negative one and justify it. In 4 days' time, a protest by the Solidarity trade unionists will take place in front of the headquarters of the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg over the ECJ ruling ordering the closure of the Turów mine. A third dose of the coronavirus vaccine may soon be available to all adults in Poland. A booster vaccination for everyone aged over 18 has been agreed to by experts from the Medical Council. The number of COVID-19 infections is steadily rising, with an increase by as much as 70% last weekend compared to the week before. The European Medicines Agency has authorised a booster dose of the vaccine against COVID-19 for people over the age of 18. Poland is also considering such a measure. Our medical board will consider this decision, and I think that in Poland it will be possible to give a booster dose to people over 18 years of age. However, as doctors say, the so-called third dose is recommended for people who have very weak immunity. The third dose is taken to strengthen immunity and maintain it for a longer period of time. I think that in the future we will use such a booster dose in the autumn period, just as we give the flu vaccine today. People who have had symptomatic coronavirus infection and have had 2 doses of the vaccine may consider that they already have immunity, and it is not advisable to take a third dose. COVID-19 infections are on the rise, and so are occupied hospital beds. Respirators are mainly needed by unvaccinated people, including young people. Temporary hospitals are operating again in some localities, especially in the east of the country, where there are the least number of vaccinated. Many countries around the world have so-called COVID passports. Without passports, you will not enter restaurants or places of culture. Each certificate has information on vaccination, including the type of vaccination received, a negative test result in the last 72 hours, or whether a person has had COVID-19 in the last 6 months. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.